The concept today is how the ground needed to be cursed or completely dry up, stop receiving, be completely cut off from the waters that were above until the time of the flood. So the passage today is in Bereshit or Genesis chapter 8. And Noah is like this olive leaf that speaks to us about this olive branch. And Messiah is this olive branch or the staff, the leader of all of Israel, who also brings in the nations. And then also, because of what Noah did here, this speaks to us, it smells to God of this perpetual sacrifice, which is like once and for all, so that never again will the flesh, the ground, be cursed. So it lifts this curse once and for all. And what was this curse? As it is below, so it is above. So if the earth was dried off, it seems that what was kind of causing this dryness is they were not receiving above, and that includes the light. Because after this, Noah was able to have this Zohar, this light, that this window that let in the light from above, which is just enough light. It's not like all lights, it's just a ray of light, like the fourth day. And the reason why we have the sun, moon, and stars is for Moedim, for holidays. And so if there was this firmament where there was so much water above, then probably they were not able to see the sun, moon, and stars in order to celebrate their seasons. So probably initially, like Cain should have just died, but God prolonged that punishment until after the flood. And then he says, now I'm going to bring the death penalty. So he said, because he said his punishment was greater than he can bear. So God prolonged this. So also probably if the ground could have been avenged because it received Abel's blood, then the rain could have come. But this was prolonged so that it could completely dry up until all flesh had died. It's like this time of wandering, signifying the raven first. So they probably didn't have any kind of holidays because the water above was so thick that they couldn't see the sun, moon, and stars. That's how some people understand the firmament, the waters above. It was like this greenhouse canopy effect. So then they wouldn't have had these seasons like a rain season where for plants to grow. So nothing was growing on its own, and the water that they were receiving from was actually from below. So this is not that good, because what we have here is a beaten work, which kind of points us towards Messiah, who stands between the waters which are spiritual. So like those who spirits, the water, the spirit that is within this dry flesh, who fall above, on the beaten work, like if you fall on this cornerstone. But if it falls on you, you'll be crushed. So there's also those who are in rebellion, and there's speaks of this in Job, how like there was this clash, the sons of God saying or something, but the way it gets translated sounds really nice, but it could also be like a war cry where there was this clash here. So what we could be seeing here is that there was this division of spirits, and there's those who fall above to Messiah, who are of above, and those who are of below. Point being that when the mist went up from the earth, the waters below, this was very heated, like the carnal kind of nature, and it was probably what was forcing it out. Speculation, right? But people think that the waters were really boiling hot. Is that there was like this lot of steam, and when this was appeased, when there stopped being all this steam pushing out the waters, then it could abate, so it could find rest. because all that built up heat inside. So when it says that the earth or the fleshly nature is only being fed from these spirits which are within the earth or below the earth, then it's probably more like Cain's kind of spirit. So their inclination is only going to be evil from their youth. If we look backwards at these days of creation, this dried out vessel is now accepting the spirit to co-inhabit with it, and also like within the air, within the waters, there's these living souls, these spirits can coexist with the physical. And I think in the Garden of Eden that this could have been more like the trees that people were. They didn't have bodies of flesh, and he wanted them to partake of the heavenly, so they could, those from above could have been in the garden. He could develop this heavenly in order he could impart that to Eve when he was ready, because he already said that they should become one flesh if she was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But first he needed to partake of the heavenly in order to be able to pass that on to her. So this is like the roots in the ground and the branches of the tree. So he could have received from all these other heavenly souls before, and then God would say that's my understanding probably of what happened, where eventually he would be able to eat of the tree of knowledge, but God wanted him first to partake of like this collective tree of life, which is trees. That's like how God is. It's like this plural of all of this understanding that he could have gleaned. So here, if their holidays are cut off, this is like them going backwards in time, where the further you go from God, what makes you kind of go more backwards in time is actually your timeline is getting more distance. So here, like, your prayers would be answered instantly right from the presence of God. But because now there's more and more distance, it's like you're going backwards in time. The further the timeline is stretched out like a rubber band. So it's making it harder and harder to receive that light, because if you receive that light, you would just be like inundated. It would be too much for you. It would wipe you out. So with the sun, moon, and stars, they're kind of going backwards in time in these days of creation, where now they're not having the holidays, right? It's like a undoing of what God has done. And then with the flood, even like with Cain, he's cut off from the dry ground. So the ground is becoming dry. It's no longer accepting the body. The body is no longer receiving the spirit. So these are separated, and the land isn't receiving the rain. Nothing is growing. So we're going backwards in time. And then we get to the flood. This is like the most God curses the dry ground, where now there's no, like, all the waters from above come and the waters from below come until all flesh has died. And then it's like this receding over time for the land, the flesh, to completely dry out again. And then for a window of the ark to be opened to let the light in again. And then he's saying, go out and be fruitful and multiply once more. In Genesis 7:22, it says, all which soul of spirit life in nostrils of him, from all which in dry died. It's not in the dry land. So they're of the dry. So what is the earth producing? Only thorns and thistles, because it's receiving from the soul that is from below, the ones which fell below to the beaten work, to Messiah. So these are all those who are of the dry. They're going to die. So it's this separation of the spirit leaving them And because they're of the dry, they had no works that were like from above. Then there has to be this time of the body completely, the flesh completely dying, who are of the thorns and the thistles. They all need to die. So when we go into the next chapter and we see that he sends forth the raven, which is like a word for the evening, it goes forth to and fro, just like Cain. Why? Because it's of the dry. So this is until to dry the waters from upon the earth. So the point of Cain, the spirit leaving the body, like the body is no longer in tune or like working with the spirit, it's rejecting it, is this dark spirit that has to wander to and fro, not finding a resting place. The point being so that the earth can dry up. It's returning to this state of being dry, and it's taking some time. It's not instantaneous once the rain stops. And also, it seems at the same time, he's sending forth a dove. And this is to see the curse. This is the word for to curse. So this takes us to the curse of the waters, because the waters is what was being withheld, the waters from above. And then it was inundated once the earth was completely dry, like there was no more fruit to be produced. It was just Noah. To see the curse of them, which is the waters, from upon the face of the earth. So it's a totally different thing that it's checking. The raven is going about the dry earth, and the dove is going about the curse of the waters, relating to the waters. And there's nowhere for this dove to find the resting place. And this is like Messiah, who is this dove. And Messiah says there's no place for him to rest. So he came, and there is nowhere for him to have rest. And so then he waits another period of 7, and there is this extension of time from the time of Daniel, which was like 70 years, and also like a final 7, where it's all extended again. So it's like this further stretching out of the rubber band of time in order to allow time for repentance, for something to come of this. And lo and behold, something does come after another period of 7. So also Cain had this period of 7, like maybe he lived 7 generations, and Lamech is 70 times 7 of the time of God's grace and mercy for repentance. So what she finds after this period of 7 is this hope, which is going to come from the olive branch. She gets a leaf. And then finally, after another period of 7, there is rest for the Spirit of God on the earth. The earth is now accepting, so God doesn't have to strive, searching for somebody's heart who is open to receive him. Now the ground is ready. So we had to go through this repetition, this stretching out of creation, of drying out of the flesh again, so that spirit can leave it. And wait until we're ready to receive the dove, for the Spirit of God to have a resting place within us. So now that we have the punishment paid, so that the curse can be lifted once and for all, then God can rise now and judge the earth. There's no more extension of time, at least the picture is here. So then those who have shed the blood, those are the ones that perish. All those who are of the dry are gone, and those who have surrendered their will to God, by entering the ark and doing as he says, these are the ones that are now from above, the window of heaven again is opened, rain can come, the earth is accepting the Spirit of God. God now has rest on the earth, so the glory of God can once again cover the earth. So that's the concept of the curse of the waters.